Ever wonder how a company like Apple or Tesla lands on a price for a new iPhone or a new car? It's not just a gut feeling. There's actually a science to it. And in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on that science by walking through a simulated consulting case.
So picture this. You're the consultant. You're in the hot seat, and your challenge is to set the price for a brand new university course. The stakes are high, there are a ton of unknowns. Where do you even start? This is exactly the kind of ambiguous, real-world problem you'd face in a consulting case interview. Right, because top firms, they don't just care about your resume. They want to see how you think on your feet, and that's exactly what a case interview is for. It's a business simulation designed to test your problem-solving skills live and under a little bit of pressure. It's kind of like the ultimate business audition. So what's our game plan? We're going to follow a really clear, structured path. We'll start with a challenge, then we'll structure the problem using the 3 pricing pillars. After that, we'll synthesize a recommendation, and finally, we'll talk about the key takeaways for you. Let's do it.
Okay, first up, let's meet our consultant for this case. We'll call him Alex. He's a sharp analyst, and he's been handed a pretty critical pricing decision for a new university course. Honestly, getting this right could be a huge moment for his career. So Alex is working with a big-name client, the prestigious American University of Beirut. They've developed this really cutting-edge data analytics course, and they need to price it perfectly. And notice the goal here. It's not just about short-term profit. It's about maximizing long-term profitability and positioning this thing as a premium, must-have certification. Now, Alex can't just pull a number out of thin air, right? His first move, and this is crucial, is to create a structure. He needs to take this big, messy question, what's the price, and break it down into smaller, more manageable pieces. He's going to use a classic framework, what we call the 3 pillars of pricing. First, he's going to look inward at the university's costs. Then, he'll look outward at what competitors are doing. And finally, he'll look at the customer to figure out what this course is truly worth to them. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty and see how Alex uses data and logic to build his argument, tackling each of these 3 pricing pillars one by one. Okay, pillar number 1. Cost-based pricing. This is all about looking inward. It answers the most fundamental question, what's the absolute minimum AUB can charge without actually losing money? To get the answer, he goes straight to the client, Dr. Layla. And here's the data he gets. You've got your variable costs, things like course materials and software licenses. That comes to $400 a student. Then you have the fixed costs, like the instructor's salary and the classroom space, which comes out to about $1,100 per person. Add those up, and you get a total cost of $1,500. That's just to break even. But of course, a university is still a business. They need to make money. So to ensure they're profitable, Alex applies a pretty standard 25% profit margin. That brings the absolute minimum price, what we call the price floor, to $1,875. Go any lower and you're in the red. All right, that's the price floor. Pillar 2 is about looking outward. Now that Alex knows the internal numbers, he has to figure out what the rest of the market looks like. What are other universities and companies charging for something similar? So he does his homework and finds that other similar courses are going for anywhere between $2,500 and $3,500. But, and this is a big but, AUB has a secret weapon. It's brand. That name carries a lot of weight, a lot of prestige, and that means people are often willing to pay a bit more for it. With that brand power in mind, Alex doesn't want to be the cheapest option on the block. He proposes a price of $2,800. And this is a really strategic move. It's high enough to signal that this is a premium, high-quality course, but it's still priced competitively enough to grab some market share from the get-go. And that brings us to the third, and you could argue the most important pillar of all, value-based pricing. So let's forget about cost and competitors for just a second. The real question is, what is this certification actually worth to the person taking it? How does it improve their career? This gets to the heart of it. What's the real-world payoff for the student? We call this the estimated value to the customer, or EVC. And the research suggests that for a professional, getting this certification could boost their annual salary by an average of $10,000. I mean, that's a huge return on investment. Okay, so you can't just charge the student the full 10 grand, right? They need to feel like they're getting a fantastic deal. A good rule of thumb is to capture a slice of that first year's value. In this case, Alex suggests capturing about 35%, which sets a value ceiling, the maximum price you could justify, at $3,500. So let's recap. We've got three really important numbers now: a cost floor, a competitive price point, and a value ceiling. This next step is where a good consultant becomes a great one. It's time to bring it all together into a single, smart recommendation. And here it is. Alex's final recommendation is a confident and specific $3,200. You'll notice he doesn't just throw out the number. He ties it directly back to the client's goals, maximizing profit and leveraging AUB's premium brand. And this chart just lays it all out so perfectly. You can see exactly why this number works. The recommended price of $3,200 is way above the cost floor, so it's super profitable. It's also well above the market midpoint, which reinforces that premium positioning. But, and this is key, it's still below the value ceiling, so every student will feel like they're getting an amazing deal. So what Alex did here, it wasn't some kind of magic trick. It was a repeatable process, built on a handful of core principles that you can apply to almost any business problem. So let's zoom out and talk about what those are. So what are the big takeaways for you? If you want to nail a case like this, you have to start with a solid structure, like the 3 pillars. You have to ask the right questions to get the data you need. And then you have to connect the dots and always focus on the so what. Why does this data matter? And of course, always end with a clear, confident recommendation. So the next time you're staring down a big, messy problem, whether it's in an interview or just at your job, think about Alex's approach. By breaking it down, analyzing it from different angles,